Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can always check out the other podcasts we have, like Miguel and Holly's Blown Off, Miguel and Holly's Queen City Confessions. Am I the A-hole? Please give us a rating and review of 5 stars. If it's anything else, don't. Also share the podcast with other people. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have a special guest today. Let's welcome our new boss, Trevor.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
I was like, where?
You're the
You.
guest.
It's you. Yes, you are the guy that signs the paychecks.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not, but
are you though?
Isn't it?
No.
Is it? In a big company like this, like who actually? It's a computer that signs
It's a
it.
computer.
Miss Bobby.
Yeah, Miss Bobby signs
No.
the paycheck.
She does.
Kind of does.
So
I don't
we
know.
kind of wanted to get to know you, Trevor, a little bit, because we also have some more special guests. So we're going to be transitioning throughout people today. We have some other special guests sitting in studio, waiting in the wings. But we did want to talk to you, Trevor, our new boss, to introduce you to our Platypus Posse. I know you have a million things you're doing right now, because we'll get to like all your responsibilities in our company. And this isn't a trick question. Have you ever listened to Miguel and Holly Uncensored before?
I have.
Oh,
On my way to the airport a couple of weeks ago.
Which episode?
It was like the one where you guys talk. No, I did. I'm trying to remember what it was about.
Yeah, no,
Well, it's hard
a
because
lot.
we talk about a lot of.
Oh,
different
wait, no, I
things.
know what it was about, I think.
Mm.
Did you guys do one where it was like talking about the guy with the small...
We have many conversations of this.
No,
Dick.
Yeah.
Well,
You can
it-
say it's a podcast.
Oh,
You
it's
can say it.
uncensored. That's
Yeah.
right.
like,
you
I
can
don't
say it.
even remember what we talked about.
Wait.
So it's possible.
small
Was it
thing.
like a confession?
Yes.
Was it a confession that
Yeah.
wasn't on the air?
Yes, it was that one.
Yes.
that
okay,
was.
Yes, yes,
That-
yes.
Actually, because it sounded like it was a ridiculous confession, but it actually led to a really interesting conversation about communication with your partner and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was a really good one. So you did listen.
I did.
Now, because that was the first time, because you've listened to us on the air, obviously, before being our new boss, but like, have you heard us in that context before? Like,
I'd never heard you curse before until I listened to that.
oh, well, that's
Wow.
fucking awesome.
Should hear her on the weekend.
Ooh.
Say a lot of shit.
But I always say Holly cusses the most out of all of us on the podcast.
I probably do. I don't know why.
It just, as like somebody who doesn't have a podcast, I don't. It just feels weird to be able to swear in front of a microphone.
Right.
Yeah,
Like I'm
yeah,
afraid
yeah.
to.
Yes.
It's a very that radio filter is on like a trigger finger. Like you got to be, know which one you're doing.
Should I do it?
Yeah,
You
do it.
should.
Like,
Do
say your
it.
first bad
Say
word
your
behind a
favorite
microphone.
bad word.
Yeah. What's your favorite bad word?
My favorite one. A lot of people don't like my favorite one though.
Oh God.
Oh, is it the C word? That's Holly's least
Least
favorite.
favorite.
That's my mom's least favorite too.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
sister's.
Yeah, so I won't say it because my mom and Holly.
Aw.
Do you serve it though?
Oh, oh, like what? Are we gonna put the N word out here, man? Oh, we can't say it. I'm so
Nope.
sad.
Not gonna
Not
do that.
that one. That's not a favorite.
No, it's not. And I understand that the gays have tried to reclaim C word and it's just out here waving in the wind, but I cannot get on board with it.
I mean, listen, even Beyonce had it. There was one part of her show, and I don't remember, like, it was on the big screen, and it was just the C word. And I was like, oh my God, like, what if somebody was like, hey, grandma, let's take you to Beyonce's Renaissance. And Beyonce's like, I'm serving. And like, oh.
I'm more concerned with like Blue Ivy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
girl, she's seen worse. What are you
Yeah,
talking
girl,
about?
she on that stage every night.
Okay.
I know, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm like trying to kind of
Mhm.
explain to my daughter who always wants to know all the words. And she's like, okay, she's got like paper pen. She's like, is there an A word? Yes. Okay. I know the B word. Okay.
Mm.
Is there a C word? I'm like,
You've had enough.
yeah. So anyway,
But
getting back on track. With Trevor.
I will say though that like the most awkward when we started Miguel and Holly Uncensored, it was back in 2015, And when we were in Tampa, we used to go into another studio to do the podcast, and we would go into the top radio station in Tampa, the Dove, which is like the dentist office, like Kenny G, like, I mean, it's like that type of music. And we'd be in the studio because it was just a jukebox basically. And so I'd always be like, what if I push the wrong button? And then all of a sudden they're like, 105.5 the Dove. Isn't that fucking crazy, Holly? And I was always like, make sure nothing is like touched.
Triple checked.
Yes, just to make sure. It was so awkward.
Yeah.
That's also why I never swear in a studio, because you're like, you never know. Because I don't trust the engineering around here.
No.
I mean, really, we shouldn't either, to be absolutely
like
honest.
It says we're off the air, but
But who knows?
So, Trevor, tell us about your radio story, because you're also, to be in the position you're in, are relatively young, which that's a really cool feat.
Yeah.
How did you make it to be, because you are technically, like, your big title is the Senior Vice President of Programming?
Well, it used to be, and then they took the S away.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're not a senior anymore.
No, I'm aging backwards.
I wish.
Botox, girl.
Mhm. So, well, how did you get to that, and how did you lose your S?
I lose my S every day.
Well, you work in this industry long enough and you're going to get fired at least once. So,
Yes.
And then, and then I came back, but without the S.
Without the S. Now, where did your radio career begin?
Cape Cod in Massachusetts.
And you're from the Boston area, right?
Yeah. Plymouth, which is like 45 minutes south of Boston. So I actually started in high school. Like, I don't know what it is about radio and like TV and stuff and media, but people start in high school. Like, I know people, I was like 16, 17, but people start at 14, 15 somehow. I think it is like radio just breaks labor laws. So I think that's.
Yeah. I agree.
Sounds
No,
about
I
right.
think that's probably what it was.
I mean, sadly, because all the old school broke the labor laws, now we have like no interns
No, we can't have
anymore
interns.
Yeah.
because they broke the laws.
Right.
I actually probably can't talk about it.
Oh,
But I know the person who, there was a big lawsuit, I guess, in the industry over an intern, and it was this person's intern that sued, and so now nobody has interns.
Wow.
Were they?
This
I
is
don't
from
know
a-
this story.
Can I say more? I think I know who. Not who, but I think I know from what morning show. It's a very popular morning show.
What is the letter that it starts with?
I feel like it gives it away. E.
Okay.
I'm not no comment.
Okay.
Well, I mean, hold on.
I had heard it too.
Because if this is
This
public,
is public knowledge.
that means
I
it's-
can
I don't
Google
know.
it.
I'm not.
I
Hold
don't know
on.
anything about why we can't have interns. I just thought
I'm starting to sweat
I just
as we
thought
talk about
that
it more.
Yeah,
the
he's gonna
industry-
lose the V and the P.
Oh my
Let's
god.
not get him to
Oh,
lose more
no.
letters.
I just thought it was because I guess there would have had to have been a lawsuit, but I didn't know it was like one person or whatever. I thought like all the interns collectively were like, we're not doing work for free anymore. And then the industry was like, yeah, that leaves us open to liability. So no
Here's-
more of that.
I don't know specifics of any. I actually didn't know that, if that's true, but like I interned when I was in high school, and I kind of lied my way in. Like, yeah, I'm getting school credit, and I'm like, you're in high school, you can't get. There's no internship
it's
credit,
no college
Right.
credit for that.
right?
yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll look at the paperwork later. And like,
Oh,
Never did.
you really were skating by though. I mean, I was never illegally employed or like not employed. But wow, that's pretty cool that like pretty badass that you did.
but
mean-
but that's how like so many people got into the industry.
Yeah.
I just feel like
Absolutely.
entertainment is just a different beast.
is. Yes, I would go with that.
Unfortunately.
Like I would say yes, and we're part of the entertainment community, media and or entertainment. There's just it's like all in the name of like getting it done
Right.
at the cheapest means possible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
100%.
And they sometimes will take advantage of you. And that's where I feel like the industry is trying to figure out, how do people, because like I feel like Holly and I were like the last vestiges of like, they would just emotionally, I don't want to say physically, but like sometimes with some of the stuff you had to do where it was like you were working nonstop and not getting paid anything, that
Mhm.
is a form of physical abuse, even though someone's not technically hitting you, but you had to go through all these things. And Holly and I always said, when we were in a position to be able to bring and teach new people, that we never wanted someone to feel like how we felt. But also, we did learn a lot of lessons from going through those trials and tribulations. So it's always like, what's the balance of like trying to make sure that you learn from those horrible situations to be able to do better without making them be so traumatic. And I think we've done a relatively good job, and like not in the people that have come on and worked with us throughout the years where we haven't abused them like we were, talked to back in the day.
Right. I agree. But I'm right in like lockstep with you, because no, you absolutely don't want anybody to go through that. But there is a certain amount of BS that you do have to go through in order to build your character and build your resilience.
Right.
And I think that's not just an industry problem. I think that's actually a problem that we have overall now, because everybody, all the generations bitch about each other. But you're seeing sort of what's happening with the younger Gen Z folks who don't take nothing from nobody. They're just
Right.
like, I'll just quit.
Right.
Okay. Well, at what point though do you have to, it gets a little hard and you have to try a little harder and maybe go through a little bit of BS in order to hone your craft, become a little bit more of a deeper person because you went through something hard, because life is only teaching you things when you're kind of, going through the muck.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't profess to know what the answer is
I
there.
think there's a layer to that whole quitting thing, right? Because I feel like you have to be privileged in order to be able to be like, all right, peace out. I'm out. I'm young. Like, I'm still
Right.
living at home. Of course I
Right.
could quit.
Right.
Or
Right.
my mom and dad will help me,
Right.
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. Like,
And a lot of these Gen Zers maybe have young Gen Xer or millennial parents who are much more likely to be like, oh, don't worry, I
Right.
got you,
Yeah.
because I'm going to do what my parents didn't. So I got you. It's a very complex problem, probably with a lot of layered solution, because they do have the privilege to be like, I'm not really paying rent. Or
Right.
if I do,
Mhm.
like they'll forgo like a few months rent while I'm unemployed, and they will.
No.
To make sure their kids aren't struggling or suffering. But then the problem is their kids aren't struggling or suffering. And where do we go from there? Anyway, you know what? We got real deep and we didn't.
No, but I think because I remember talking about this when there was that whole thing like, girl, just quit that job. And I'm like,
Nothing is worth your mental health. Or
but I'm like,
whatever.
girl, at what point do you stick out through a tough situation? Because, girl, there were so many situations that Holly and I went through back in the day, or that we went through individually before we got together, that if I would have said, this is too much, I can't handle this, or this is not worth my mental health, we wouldn't be here. And
Right.
so it's like, at what point do you go through it to say, I'm getting experience and I'm learning, as
Yeah.
opposed to I'm being taken advantage of and used?
Do you remember when my mom came to visit that one time and she gave you Valium,
Yes, she did.
first of all, because we were in such a tizzy. And so this was just a regular visit. My mom didn't know she was walking into World War III. And it was truly a hellacious
Mhm.
blow up at the time. And I wanted to quit. I was like, I'm not, it might have been the threatening to be punched in the face incident, honestly. And so I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this. And my mom, boomer that she was like, well, you can't quit. You quit? What are you going to do? How are you going to pay for this apartment?
Right.
When are you going to come move back up to Cleveland? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, you're not quitting. Just go and figure it out. And I was like, okay. I was ready. I was
Mhm.
ready to quit. And my damn mother wouldn't let me quit. But thank goodness, because here we are again. I don't know. I don't even know how to give advice.
Have you had moments like that in your career, Trevor, where it was like a moment where you had to decide, do I want to take this abuse or hazing in the radio industry, but you worked through it?
I think everybody kind of does. I think, and out listening to what Kelvin was saying about, when you're young, you could maybe move back home or you're still living at home with your parents, and they'll help you out. I was having the thought of like, but then also like when you get married too, if you are fortunate enough to have a significant other who also has a decent job, and then it's kind of like, I'm gonna quit. You have a bad day. I'm gonna quit. You can take care of us for a little while. So kinda same
Interesting
thing.
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting perspective for sure.
Not that I would say that ever.
Right.
Oh.
He said, bye, bitches. So, Trevor, how did you make it from up north to North Carolina?
So I always said like I'm not gonna be one of those radio people who moves around, but you kind of have to in the entertainment field. So after working in Providence, Rhode Island, which is right next door to Massachusetts, for like 3 to 5 years, I got my first program director job in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's actually where I met my husband in Tulsa. His family's from there. I moved there. I was not out at the time. And so I moved from very blue Massachusetts to very red Oklahoma. And came out, which was like a weird series of events. And then so I joined iHeart in Oklahoma because we work for iHeartRadio. And like the biggest benefit I think as an employee is you have so many opportunities to move wherever you want to go. If you do a good job for them.
Right.
So from there we went to Austin, Texas for 1.5 years. It was cool to live in Austin. And then we came to Raleigh and Charlotte. So we're just like, we're here. We like it here.
How did you have that conversation with your husband when y'all started dating, when you were like, because I'm probably sure when you got to Tulsa, you were like, well, this isn't my stopping point. Were you like, hey, this is going to be a 1 or 2 or 3 year thing? How did he take it?
I said 1 year. I was like, I'm not going to be here for more than a year. Like, it's Tulsa. I actually love Tulsa. Tulsa's a cool city. And ended up being there for 3 years. So we really liked it. And he was like totally.
And you said his family's from there?
Yes, his family's still there.
3
so
years.
we get back there still to visit, of course. He's so go with the flow, and I am not. So it works out because he just is like, I'm cool with whatever. We're moving. Cool.
The spouse or partner of a radio person has to have at least some easygoingness.
Yes.
Right.
Or know about the industry in some way and can grasp it, I think.
It's
For
a vital
sure.
part in our success, I feel.
Oh, 100%. Because if you don't have that support at home, and if someone is bitter, because that was always my first conversation, not one, but like one of the first, once things started to get serious, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, even in Tampa, where I thought I would be, you know, until we retired, but I was like, still, like, if we got fired or something, and we're sitting around for a year or two, and there's no job in Tampa, then we're gonna have to go somewhere else. And you have to be okay with that. And there were some guys that, and remember there was one guy who had a kid, and he was like, I just don't know if that's going to be possible because I have a kid and my support system with my parents and my sister is here. And especially at that point, I was like, girl, I couldn't support you and a kid.
Oh my God, yeah, that wasn't going to work. I remember that.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Right.
Not in radio.
Right. And I was like, no, that's probably not going to happen. So,
well, that's why I'm so grateful and frankly shocked that I'm sitting here in the Tampa studios.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't happen. So I was very grateful. I literally was, getting ready to say goodbye to Miguel.
No.
Because I know what it's like. I know you have to move. And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I literally cannot do it. And so I was like, well, we'll just, you know what? I'll see you on the other side somewhere. And then iHeart was like, all right, you can do it.
You can come.
I feel like COVID must have had a huge part in that
100%. We've
mindset.
actually been told that it was COVID because it proved to the decision makers and the people who, really work their magic that it can be done.
Right.
It can be done. And it proved it to Miguel and I too, because had we not gotten COVID at the same time, of course we did. And this was like November of 2020. We got COVID at the same time. And so then you had to work from home. And we were like, well, we're not going to sit out 2 weeks of a radio show because at the time it was 14 days of isolation. So what do? Let's figure this out. And from the first show, I'm in my house, he's in his, and we have a board op. It was great.
Yeah. We didn't skip a beat.
There was no stumbling. It a little bit of the technology, getting that to work. But other than that, the show was flawless.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, damn, we can do this. And the iHeart people, the people higher up were like, well, we saw it work. So yes, Trevor, you are 100% correct. Had COVID not happened, this I do not think would have happened.
Yeah. It's very serendipitous how everything just sort of like works out together, because I would have been like, ooh, I don't know how this is all going to transpire. But that's when we were like, because then we also learned too that like sometimes back in the day we had Scott, our old producer, run the board for us and I came off of it because we learned some things from that whole experiment. But looking back, I'm like, we also should have not worked some of that time that we had COVID, because we were like sick as fuck on the air, and we're like,
I was like, I'm trying to get my trending together. And you know what was the fucking worst one, Miguel? Is you're like, we're gonna keep doing our TikToks.
Did you guys extend your hours too?
Yes!
We were on the air till fucking noon.
Yes.
And then we were doing a podcast after that every single day.
Yes. I will never, every time I scroll back through TikTok and I see that one TikTok challenge we did when we had COVID.
I know exactly the one, because my face,
Yes.
I was like doing some like sexy dance on my couch and jumping to the floor, and my face looks like I want to punch someone, and it was Miguel.
Oh my God.
I was like, we had to produce content. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
That was such a weird time because we had our morning show. I mean, as an industry, we kind of did it, but in Raleigh, we had our morning show until noon as well. Like we were just trying to figure out what to do because there's nobody in cars anymore.
Right.
How do we serve? And that was our thing too. How do we serve our audience?
Right. And that was, that was mainly why, is because everybody was just in a shitty moment in their lives. And we were like, we want to be there for you. And we're all trying to figure it out, because there was, in radio, there's like a little tab on everyone's computer of like, all right, it's St. Patrick's Day. What can we do? It's Memorial Day. What can we do? There is a tragedy in your community. Here, do these things. For a pandemic, there was no folder to click on.
No.
And so we were all just trying to be like, how can we help? What can we do?
So we had, at the time, our morning show in Raleigh, because like you couldn't, everything was over Zoom. So Zoom was like, nobody had heard of Zoom before the pandemic.
Right.
And so we had them doing like, we would have Bojangles delivered to a listener's house, and they would have dinner with the morning show over Zoom.
Oh,
And
that sounds good.
Yeah.
But
That's cute.
also, it sounds good, but I sat in on a couple of those, and it was just so awkward. Because first of all, doing things over Zoom is awkward anyway.
Right.
But then
Right.
meeting a stranger
Yeah.
and eating in front of them on Zoom.
Right. And
Yeah,
you're just
now that
like-
you say it out loud.
And they were like, please don't make us do that again.
But it was a lot of trial and error. Like,
Yeah.
remember for Cinco de
Cinco de
Mayo,
Mayo, yes.
Holly came over to my place, and our salesperson over Corona had Mexican food delivered and Corona, and we just did a live stream, and it was
We
just
just
like,
did a live stream and it got kind of drunk.
it was just 2 hours of us just on Facebook eating Mexican food, drinking Corona, and being like, Cinco de Mayo.
We
And-
would do that Sundays as well.
yeah.
Sundays live stream, and everybody would rotate on who would go on the radio station's Instagram page. And same thing, I would just be getting drunk, and of course I was living with my parents at the time.
And Kelvin, sorry, pandemic's over, right? You don't have to do that anymore on Sundays. I saw you this past Sunday.
No.
He's like, hey guys.
Saturdays.
It's like, I picked up some good lessons.
Saturdays.
Hey, Saturdays. That's right.
I love it. Well, Trevor, we're so glad to have you on the team. Sort of like in this new world order of things with everybody being in different places. So Trevor, you're based in Raleigh, but you come over here to Charlotte every 3 weeks or so, but we're always on the phone or talking or whatever.
Yeah.
Glad to have you on board, and welcome to the fam.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so now you are officially in the Platypus Posse.
Yes.
Now that you've been on the podcast and you've listened to it, because I didn't know, but I wasn't gonna make you feel bad if you hadn't listened. But
I
thank
did.
you.
I did.
Well, new boss Trevor, thank you so much.
Does it get a nickname?
Oh yeah, we gotta come with a nickname.
We got to think about it.
Yeah, because the last one, that was like we forced it, and it was like
Cringy every time.
Yeah.
It was a little awkward. It was fine.
it was funny at
just-
first, and then after like
After
Can you
a
say
while,
what it was?
yeah, Daddy AJ.
We called him Daddy AJ.
Yeah.
So-
it was
Just
fine,
kept
but it
going, and
wasn't.
Miguel wouldn't shoot it down the fucking hallway.
Well, listen.
So our big boss here, Dave,
Mm-hmm.
I call I did call him once to his face, Daddy Dave.
Oh
No, why?
But that was
I bet
before-
he liked it. I bet he liked it.
Yeah.
So all right, so this was before he was my boss, and I was on the phone with AJ,
Mm.
and Dave walked in. I said, "Oh, is that Daddy Dave?" And I was on speakerphone,
Oh.
and Daddy Dave Dave without missing a beat said, "Why so formal? Call me Poppy." Touche.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben.
Didn't miss a-
Sure. We
Didn't
are
mi-
not doing that for Dave C. Okay, right now.
For all of them.
He didn't miss a beat though. He was like, Why are you
Yeah.
being so formal?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he is
Oh my
smooth. He is
goodness.
pretty
We
smooth.
got to come
He
with
is
a name
very
for you.
smooth.
We,
Yeah,
we,
we'll
we
think
will
about
over
it.
time. It'll pop out at some point. We'll
I
call
won't tell you my
something.
last one in Raleigh.
I mean, you should now.
All right, I will.
Now you have to.
So my nickname was Vanilla Milkshake
You know,
because
why? Tell us
because
why.
Danny, who was doing mornings there at the time, said you are just the iHeart middle management, just button down
Look
shirt.
what you're wearing.
And when
Could
you
not be
when
whiter.
and when you go get ice cream, you literally get a vanilla milkshake.
Which
I
they're
can
great,
see it.
by the way.
I can
Like
see
there's
it.
something
Look
to
at how
be
he's
said
trying to defend it.
for vanilla milkshakes. So I could make a good case
Yeah.
for vanilla. Vanilla is one of the finest flavors.
Vanilla bean.
Wait. This will help us start to shape your personality for when
Okay.
we have you on
Yeah.
the on-air show, because that's where it'll really come out.
Yeah.
So, like, do you like hot sauce? Like, do you use hot sauce at all?
I'm all about spicy food. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay,
and not like white spicy food, like
Right.
spicy food.
So you're like garlic powder isn't too much for you. Where you're
Right.
like, ooh, girl, it's spicy.
Right.
Because I do know some of those white people where they're like, pepper.
They were not raised. They were raised with no salt.
Pepper.
Yeah. I was raised with no salt. I'll be honest with you.
That always
My
just
mom-
hurts my heart.
Well, my mom was like, "It's gonna cause heart disease," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Gotta have a little flavor.
Had a
in
really healthy
something.
heart for a long time. Not anymore. Anyway, but yeah, okay. Well, we'll think on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for and every time you're in Charlotte, come on in.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. We'll remove him from the video, and then we'll let the transition happen, and you two go over there.
We love a transition.
I know,
Love
right?
a good transition. Yeah.
Exactly. They're getting set up now.
Okay.
Okay. Spoiler.
You were supposed to go the other way.
the other.
Abe.
The other.
Oh, did he just
way.
walk back?
Yes.
Oh
Girl,
my
his foot was
God.
there the whole time.
Yeah, foot was there.
Yeah. Well, you don't know whose foot that could be.
Well, you're right.
Yeah,
That's
you're
right. All right, they're getting all set up here. What microphone is that? Tell me what does it say on that?
What are we gonna call Trevor?
That's a good question. I think we got to get to know him more.
White salt.
Because white
Just kidding.
salt.
There was a drag queen on Drag Race, and her name was Black Peppa. And then Michelle Visage goes, "Well, my name is White Salt."
All right, we would like to welcome to the podcast my husband Abe.
Hello.
Hi. And one of our best friends who is from where Holly is right now, from St. Pete, Carlos.
How we doing?
Hi. Now, Carlos, this is the first time you've actually been on the air with us at all, like in any capacity, right?
This is the first time I've been in studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did we never
Damn.
bring you by the Tampa studio?
Actually, that's a lie. I had gone once. It was never like when you were actually doing anything live or anything of that sort. I think we just popped in for, I forget what it was. I was with Abe, of course, and the only other time was the time that you got proposed to.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
Out in the parking lot.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That was really cute.
You know what's so funny is I recently shared a video because it was one of those like tap in stickers on Instagram, and it was like show you a proposal or whatever. And I had a picture of me just like crying and looking crazy, and Abe's like, "Hey, I did it!" And I was like, "Here's the video of it." And we had some New Charlotte people that were like, "Oh my God, that was so sweet how that went down." But wow, that was the pandemic because like it was outside, everyone was in masks outside,
Spaced.
Yes.
spaced, right? Because
6 feet.
then for like our company policy,
We had a whole thing planning it.
Yeah.
No one could come in, not even Abe.
No,
Right.
we literally like had this whole thing planned out with the boss, and then we had to change it all because corporate was like, no, nobody
I
in the
don't
building.
care who loves who. No one's getting in that fucking building.
This was, I think, this may have been even before I kind of knew Miguel. I can't remember when we had our first chat, but I remember sending that video to Oscar and being like, this is what I fucking want. Replicate it.
Oh.
That.
No pressure,
But
though.
better.
Good job, baby. You made a standard.
Thanks.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, and that was really romantic, don't you think, Miguel?
Yes, it was.
It's funny. It's funny that you agree with that because
Ooh.
Carlos and I were listening to some podcasts of yours on the way up here, and you said
Oh.
I'm not romantic in any way.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. Hold on. Now, in that case, for that, You were very romantic.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Right.
But
I
when
love watching you dig yourself out of a hole.
Listen, I do it every day on the radio, okay? I've become very skilled at it, okay? Because
Good
She's a
dingers.
pageant girl. She's
Right.
a pageant queen.
listen, well, here's the thing, and this was actually one of my fears, one of my few fears about being on the radio, is because remember when I was like, I want to be on the radio, this was during the time of like George W. Bush, where politicians didn't even admit that they were wrong. Even if they like, there is evidence, they'd be like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And I'm
Wait,
like,
they
Are you
still
trying
do
to
that.
say that they do that now?
They
Right.
still do
Right.
that.
some of them, well, liberal ones, but the other ones, but let's not get into that whole, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But I was like, you can't change your opinion because apparently that shows weakness. So what if I say something one day and then I say something differently the other day? Like, does this make me like a bad person or something like that? And so I've learned how to just dig my way out of that hole if it ever happens. So I say that to say that you were very romantic in that moment.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have the
In that
ability to be
moment.
romantic.
Mhm.
You may or may not choose to use it when you want to.
That's
I
right.
think that's a good
Mhm.
assessment.
Yeah.
Because who wants to be romantic all the time? It'd be too
Yes.
much.
Now, with that being said, Abe, like when you, because I know you do listen to the podcast and obviously to the show, like, are there ever times when you're listening and you hear me talk about stuff and you're like, you bitch, how dare you?
Every other podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's either okay, the entire world didn't need to know that, or bitch, you just lying. Why are you lying?
He's just
Because you
twisting it.
never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's why.
Yeah, blah 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 blah. I think he said that. Pretty sure he said that to me on our first date. And I was
Yes.
like, okay, girl.
I said that to Maya the other day. I was like, well, I was like,
Not to the 10-year-old.
he's like, how about not that? That's not appropriate right now. I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right. Never mind about that's for other. To always tell me the truth.
Yes.
Always tell me the truth.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I
That
guess
just rolls
I'll
off the
be
tongue.
more specific. It's more of a bending the truth than a flat
Mm.
out lie.
There you
which
go.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Listen, well, and this is what I say to listeners when they call in and we talk to you and we sort of get you prepped to go on the air, is that this is entertainment, you know, like that's what a reality show is.
100%.
You
But
know,
when it's about me, better watch it.
Yeah.
Better watch it. I know where you sleep.
Ooh, yes, thank you. And I love it. Now, Carlos, you are here in Charlotte for what?
We are going to the AJR concert tonight.
Oh, that's so
Mm.
fun.
That Miguel got me tickets for Christmas. Very
Yes,
exciting.
they
That's
are
gonna
our
be
favorite
great.
band and probably one of the first things we like really connected over.
Mm.
So this is what our 4th time seeing them together.
I
Oh,
think so.
wow.
I
They're
know.
so talented.
Mm.
That's gonna be awesome. Oh, I love concerts.
Mhm. Now, I wanted to go back in history a little bit because we talked about this. Was it on the air or was it on the podcast? Because we were saying, or we were making fun of me, how like back in the day, like most of my friends I liked at some point, and how I asked out. And
Oh, we're gonna go down this road. I love
oh
this.
yes,
I love
oh yes.
this.
Listen,
This
I
is the
enjoy
best.
being called out. I enjoy it. It's fun to be in the hot seat because I always put everybody else in the hot seat. So I'm here for it. Now, way back. So just to give you a little backstory. So Holly and I moved to Tampa the second time around in 2015.
Mhm.
And then right as I was exiting my previous relationship before Abe at the end of 2016, going into 2017 is when I started to meet Carlos and some of our other friends that are in our friend group now. And at that time, Carlos, you were what, 24, 23?
Girl, I was like 22, 23.
22, yeah. Because you were like just graduated.
I was a baby gay running around
Honey,
Ybor just drunk.
he's not even 30 yet.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
Forget.
maybe he was 21. Let's be honest.
No, I
it's safe to
graduated
say he
college
was of
in
legal
2016.
drinking age.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were saying 22.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so, because you had graduated from
It was
college.
the year after I'd graduated college, so I'd say I was 22, 23.
Okay. So at that time, when all of us were a new friend group and I had just become single, and I was just trying to throw some shit against the wall, and I was just like, well, we hang out, we're friends. Like, what do you remember from that time period of our friendship and how that all went down? If you do remember, Carlos.
So I remember you had kind of like expressed like, oh, like it'd be fun to like grab dinner or something like that. And I am very naive sometimes. And
Especially at 22. sorry. Yes, of course you are.
But let's also not forget and act like I was like fucking 45. Okay,
No,
so
I know.
I just wanted to
I know.
make
You
it clear.
were young 30s.
Early 30s.
Well, regardless, I was just like, I wasn't looking to date anyone at that time. I had been out for about maybe like 2 or 3 years at that point. And on top of that, I was like just out of college and I didn't want to date. I wanted to like go out with my friends. I wanted to get drunk. I wanted to like go have fun with like a random guy if I met him, like, so whatever it was. So when you asked, I was like, oh, like he's just being friendly, da, 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 da. And then like I kind of put one and two together, and I was like,
real friendly.
And I was like, well, I don't think that's in my cards, and like I don't know, I'm really just trying to make friends right now.
When was that moment? Was this a conversation? Was this at that
Did you
dinner?
go to
to
dinner?
that dinner? When
No,
was this?
our asses were still drunk, like probably like still running around
Oh.
Ebor or wherever we were
So
that
you
night.
told
Yeah.
her drunk.
Girl, he
Wait, so
asked
you-
me drunk.
Oh,
But so
absolutely.
you never went to the dinner, or you did? You did or you didn't?
I mean, we've had many dinners together.
Yeah.
No, I mean like that original dinner where Miguel was like, "Let's go to
No,
dinner sometime."
I don't
Okay.
know. We never.
That's what I meant like, was
No.
there that?
How did
but-
you feel?
Girl,
Miguel?
he's gone on more dates with my exes than he has with me.
Yeah. Did you know you were gonna open up that one? Did you know you were gonna open up that can of worms?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that one. That's a
Yep.
whole nother traumatic
Oh,
situation.
100. We could spend a whole podcast on that one.
Oh my God. Like that whole, like, do you ever have that time period in your life that like so many core memories happened that you still pull from? And there was like that February of 2017 until Abe and I got together, the fall of 2017, that like so many seminal moments happened in my life that it's
Yeah.
just like there was so much growth and so many experiences back then. Like it was crazy. But in that time, probably right after I asked you out and one of our other friends, I went on a date with he's now your ex, but
Yeah.
before that, he was not. Awkward times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good time.
Never in any overlap. Don't worry.
No, there was
Holly's
never
like
any.
trying to do the math.
I know,
and
she's
all that.
like-
I was like, you know what? All's well that ends well.
Right. Everything is good. Everything's
all's
good.
well that ends well.
But now,
That's fine.
Carlos, you're in a very happy relationship.
Correct.
And what's his name?
His name's Will. He's so sweet. We've
So
been together.
sweet.
He's literally the
sweetest.
sweetest.
Sometimes I like Will more than Carlos.
Literally, last time I was here, Kelvin was like, "Are you still with that little nugget?" Like, oh my god.
But for real though, because like I didn't remember his name for the first time because I met him, and then I'm very bad with names, especially when there's the gaggle of
Yeah.
all of the gays.
Mhm.
And so I didn't remember his name, but I was like, he kind of looks a little bit like Daniel Radcliffe. And so I wanted to call him Daniel or Harry Potter, but I was like, that's not it. And then it'll F me up, but it's Will. And he's just a delight.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely sweet. I've been going through some stuff lately, and with that, he's just been like such a support system, and he's really proven to me that like relationships are more than, you know, just like going out and like the sexy time alone and all that kind of stuff. It's
gosh,
really about
yes.
like being there for each other and like being that support system.
That makes me so happy to hear, because I feel like because I've known Carlos for so long, I have seen him grow into a man. And I remember that was like one of your defense mechanisms. Whenever things would get tough in your personal life, you would always be like, I don't want to burden other people with it.
Yeah.
And you would want to
Mhm.
sort of revert in. And I remember having a conversation with you one time, and I was like, that's not what friends are for. Like, we have
Mhm.
bar friends that we see out and we drink with and have fun with. But if we're going to be true friends, I want to be there for you in a tough time. I hope you're there for me in a tough time. And I'm so glad to see that that's happening in your relationship now. That's really, really cool to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. It takes time, and you have to, you know, get into a few relationships, figure it out. Like, I've learned so much from each relationship, and I'm so grateful for every relationship I've had in the past, but it's all led me to this point
Yeah.
and led me to be able to be a better partner for him and him to kind of reciprocate.
Mm.
Listen
It's
to
the inner work.
you.
Like, it's
I
doing
know,
the
right? It's
inner
like I
work to
matured.
be the better
Mm.
partner, and then get someone who's also doing the work to be a good partner too.
100%.
We love the growth. We
Yes.
love the growth.
Yes.
Yes.
And all before 30.
Oh my God.
See, you're lucky. I was not there.
I was gonna say I don't think
Nobody had
I felt like an
therapy
adult
back
till I
then.
was
No.
like 32.
Right.
And even now I'm like, am I really?
I know. I even like having a kid, like when I had my child, I was 31 and I felt like I'm too young for this mess. I was like, this is too much. Like, oh my God, who is expecting me to be an actual mother? And I don't think I think the first time I ever actually felt like an adult was when I got divorced in 2015. So however old I was then. And then when my mom when my mom's health went right down, like straight down, that moment I actually cried and I was mourning my childhood because I was like, holy shit,
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a person to go to. Like I'm untethered a little bit. And that was when I was like 37.
No.
So maybe
It takes a
it takes
minute.
a while. It takes a while. So that's really good. I say all that to say that's really good that you've had like all of these sort of like little epiphanies and understandings and looking inwards before you hit 30, because I was just out here just literally bumping around in the world. So I feel like it takes time, but you're on a good path.
I'm also very lucky that I've had like Abe, Miguel, some of our other friends, Chris and Rob, that I've surrounded myself with people that have helped me grow and not just been in like some scenes that like the circuit scene or any of that kind of stuff.
Forced you to grow.
Well, yeah.
Forced.
But thank
Listen,
God, though, I
wasn't
didn't
always
have
easy.
older people that
But
were
we
like
love
showing
you.
me the way. So yes, you're absolutely right. That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, so it's been like good just in general with like the people I've surrounded myself with. And Miguel and I used to always say like you want to surround yourself around people you want to be like and that help you like achieve and grow, and not just be around people that like at the end of the day you can't even really trust.
That is so true, man. I tell you, like that's something to always keep in mind. Like if you're young and listening to this, and that's why I feel like sometimes like when you're in your 20s and you're having fun, or even if like you've gone through a divorce and you sort of lose your mind a little bit and you're like, I want to go party and have fun, which
you're going to.
Absolutely. But everybody needs that phase in their life, and that is okay to have that phase. But then you have to sort of pull yourself back at a certain point to be like, do I really want to be that person that's drunk at the bar in my 50s or 60s? Or, which sometimes every now and then it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, do you want to be there like every Friday and Saturday? Because sometimes people choose that path. And so I'm so glad that we were all able to be there for each other.
Absolutely.
Abe, like you were going to say something?
I was thinking about that TikTok that's like, after a breakup, whole phase, alcoholism, don't give a fuck.
Yeah, 100%. And that was me in 2017 when I was Carlos out.
It was a good time. Well, it aligned kind of well though, because I got divorced in 2015, went into like a dark hole, and then emerged around like May 2016. And that was an interesting time. The end of 2016 it was sort of aligned with you too, right? It was a time. And I was like, I didn't think I would go that crazy, but I went a little crazy, but you do.
You have to get it out of your system.
Yes.
I was just talking to Holly earlier about this when like the moment I knew I was like about to just crash the fuck down from a night out of partying. And I remember ordering, like I was already wasted. I had already fell over a fence in front of a cop car. And it was like the night before Thanksgiving. So, that Wednesday is the best time to go.
Party central.
Yes. And so I remember going to this specific bar. This is 2016, mind you. So I'm like 22 or something. And I'm working at the DMV. And the election is happening. So it's already like we see Trump is about to be the fucking Republican nominee. It's all just going downhill. And I remember going to the bar and being like, get me a tequila sunrise. Triple. And bitch.
They do triples?
Yes, girl, if you ask for it.
I didn't know you
was
could.
obviously
No
not
one
a gay
should
bar.
know that, actually.
Yeah.
That's bad information to be telling people.
At that point, you just buy a bottle and just.
I was going to say, what was that, like a $40 cocktail?
I don't remember, girl. I don't remember.
Especially in Miami.
But yes, you have to, because if you don't, I feel like I don't recommend it. Obviously, I don't recommend over drinking, getting blacked out, and regretting the next morning. But I feel like for a lot of us, at least social birds out there, like we got to get it out of our system.
Yeah, you have to have that moment. Lord. Now, before we wrap things up, I think what's really cool is. So Carlos and I were friends, really good friends before Abe and I got together. And then I think what was really cool is because Abe had a whole different like group of friends that he was hanging out with before we got together. And then just over time, you know, Abe started to become even greater friends with like Carlos and some of our other friends. So like, what has been that sort of like grounding for y'all's friendship, you know, outside of me? Because I was sort of like the common denominator, but then it was like over a certain time, it was like you two found your thing and became friends. So what has been that thing that sort of like bonded you two together over time?
I think there's a lot of things. I mean, there's what CrossFit we got into together.
Correct.
Mute then bonded over music. Even though, you know, a little too much Taylor Swift over here, but it's okay.
Listen.
It's okay.
Plug her.
We love Tay Tay. She's very talented, but
New album April 19th. You know what I'll be doing.
Bye, Dad.
we also, I mean, we've been through so much together. You know, good things, bad things, stuff that Miguel doesn't want to do, but Carlos will do with me, and I love
You
that.
need those friends.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, I think the biggest thing was just being able to be real with each other and like just having that concrete kind of foundation of a friendship and like just being able to goof off together and like go. He's like the only person I can sit in the car with for 8 hours. Like we just did that yesterday.
Seriously, there's not a lot of. I was just saying, Miguel used to be much better at road trips.
Yeah,
Past couple road trips, just
Yeah, we got to work on your
real
passenger princess.
fidgety.
I just don't know what's happened as I've gotten older. After about 3 hours in the car, like I just want to crawl out of my skin.
It's only
But
been
you
like
need
the
a
past
walk.
year.
yeah.
Like before that, you would like just sleep or get on social media or whatever, and now like he's moving around in his seat and fidgeting. And I was like, girl, do we need to get you a cocktail?
Right.
A
Here,
Xanax? What you
girl.
need?
He has to
Yeah.
walk here, which like whatever. I don't blame him.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know what it is, but as I've gotten older, like, because usually I could, outside of going to the bathroom, I would sit in my chair in the studio doing the show, not even stand up.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know what's happened recently, but I'm just like, I mean, and that was one of my big things with moving here to Charlotte. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I just saw something that caught my attention. There were some things happening in Tampa that they wanted us to do if we stayed. And one of my big things was I don't want to be in this small room until 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Like I just, for some reason, I've had this yearning to just be outside. And I distinctly remember like my grandmother always being like, go outside, like stop being in the house. And I'd be like, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go outside. I don't want the sun. I don't want the sun. I want fresh
Well, and
air.
You spent so much time in the heat. You built such a hatred for the heat.
I did.
And 2 years here, and you're like, oh, it's so cold all the time. When is it going to be summer?
I was
And
gonna say,
like, I know.
Miguel's literally told me like I miss the beach, and I was like, "Girl, you didn't want to go to the beach when you lived there.
I
Like,
was
what are
gonna
you
say,
talking
Miguel
about?"
Miguel would do one beach day a year, and it was
And
like
look
2
so
hours max.
pained about
And if
it.
you didn't have champagne,
now.
if you didn't have champagne on that beach, fuck off. He was not coming.
Fuck me.
Not
That's how
coming.
he
One
says it.
photo a
Fuck me.
year.
That's how Miguel says it.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, hold on. Several things are happening here that people are calling me out for. Yes, that is true about the beach once a year. And then Kelvin and I, the other day, Holly, you had just left, and I was like cleaning up, and I like something I hit, and like I messed up the radio station. I was like, "Fuck me!" And then Kelvin was like, "You do that so often."
So well. I know bro. I know how to say it with the cadence, all of it. He just looks it, and the mic is always here, and he goes, "Fuck me."
It literally sounds like Miguel saying
That's a
it.
spectacular
I can
impression.
mimic
Yes.
his
Oh my gosh.
voice.
Yes.
Fuck me.
But you know what? You're right. Except I don't notice it, which is great because I get very like sensitive to people who are angry, and I get put on edge. I never get put on edge when you say that. I'm just like, oh no, Miguel's upset. But I'm
Not
not
again.
I'm not stressed out about
No,
it. Like,
because it's usually something I've messed. It's never about anybody else. It's about something that I overlooked, didn't pay attention to, or I messed up by bumping my arm on something. Like, fuck me.
I don't even worry about it. I just ignore it. Because you like if like out there, like so the guy that comes in the studio after me is sitting out there. If he was like, fuck me, I'd be like, uh-oh.
Oh, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Danger. Miguel says it. I'm like, you silly. It's gonna be all right. I'm sure whatever it is.
Oh, I love it. Well, Carlos, we're glad to have you here in
Thank
Charlotte.
you.
Glad that you and Abe get to go see AJR tonight. That's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, so excited.
And then you're here till Friday, right?
Correct. You guys are dropping me off on your way to the wedding.
That's right. I'm going to my cousin's wedding.
So you are
Saturday.
going to your
That
Yeah.
we may or may not have been invited to, or
I
you lost the
know.
invitation or
Oh.
something. I don't know.
that you didn't reply to.
So, if you missed that whole storyline on the air, I didn't get the invitation for my cousin's wedding this weekend, and then my mom inserted and like put her on three-way, and she was like, "No, you didn't respond to the original RSVP
She's
email."
like, are you coming?
Right.
Or-
And she was like, I'll put the invitation in the mail. I still haven't gotten it. And then I was like, wait, are we really not invited? I called my mom again, and apparently it's a big news story in Atlanta. There's something with the mail system, and people aren't getting their mail in Atlanta. And so, like,
Oh.
literally, my mom just got a piece of mail this weekend from March 6th. And, like, that's how backed up it is. So we probably got it, but it's just sitting somewhere at a USPS facility in Atlanta somewhere.
So you are going to the wedding.
We are going.
It sounds like you're not getting a plate at the wedding, though.
Listen.
You might. You got to pack a lunch.
I'm about to say I might have to take some beef jerky with us just in case. So
You know, I'd be fine. I'd be fine.
That'd
Some
be-
beef
sounds pretty
jerky and a
good.
nice red wine.
That's not bad.
All right.
That's a good snack.
She's from
Right?
North Carolina.
Oh, and real quick before we are done, Abe, you are starting back up. Are you ready to announce that?
Sure,
podcast?
sure. Yeah.
You are starting your painting company back up.
Yes. As of April 15th, my schedule will be open. Accuracy Painting CLT.
Yeah. So if you need some
Fun.
indoor, outdoor painting, Abe is your man. And where on social media is it?
At Accuracy Painting on Instagram and Facebook, accuracypainting.com.
Love it. And then
You can also email me at accuracypaintingclt@gmail.com.
love it. And then Carlos, do you want to give out your social media? You're private on everything, aren't you?
No, I'm public on Instagram. I only use Instagram.
Okay.
At CALOZANO29.
Hello.
Right?
Producer Calvin.
At Calvin Live, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and PlayStation. Well, Bussy Killer
Say
on
it.
PlayStation.
Say it.
Bussy Killer without the U. That's all that's missing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holly, what's your
Radio
social?
Holly. That's all. So Radio Holly on Instagram, TikTok, all those things.
Mine is Miguel Fuller. We will see you back here on Friday. Bye.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app.